Hello, my name is Paul Traney, and I want to show you how you can make simple 3D. In fact, in Photoshop, you can make simple 3D by using any of these presets of basic shapes. But I want to extrude a shape that I'm going to create. In this case, it's just going to be this heart is all I'm doing. Just to keep this simple, here's the heart that I'm creating. Could be any shape, and now you can extrude it. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch a hole in this, make it transparent or hollow. But let's see what we did here, because first off, you can see that I can select the current view, and then I can adjust the position. You can sure enough see that it is a 3D object. Notice how I get these coordinates on the bottom, on this ground plane. Well, where do those come from? Right over here, selecting the second option. We can actually change that to millimeters or inches if I want to, and actually makes it 18 inches, but I can always select that shape and you can see the sizes right in here. So if you want to scale it down, I want to scale it uniformly. Scaling it down because it's quite big, I want to make it about 5 inches big, something like that, okay? So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to move it to the ground, okay? There it is on the ground. In this case, let's just say I'm going to make this or turn this into a vase. So I need to rotate it up 90 degrees, just like that, and move it to the ground, make sure it's on that ground plane, all right? So I can hide all of those various those guides. In fact, let's just take a closer look at this item. I'm just kind of zooming in, moving around on it. Notice how I have my current view selected. But this is my basic shape. Not terribly exciting just yet. Well, check this out. Selecting this shape, I can do more with it. Sure, I can adjust the extrusion, but I can also twist it. So as I twist it around, much more interesting for a vase. So again, I can twist that around maybe 90 degrees, just like that. And I can taper it down. So say, for instance, I want it to be a little smaller on one end. I can do that. Let's do about 85% there, okay? So that's the vase I'm making, but it's a problem because there's no hole in the top. How do we remove that top part or make transparency? Well, it's that front inflation material. So selecting it, down under opacity. Well, the first thing I need to do is I need to create a texture. Okay, creating a new texture. This will allow me to paint black and white on it. So now I can select edit texture. And right in here, doesn't matter what I do, whether it's another heart, whatever the case may be, if I happen to draw a heart, it's going to make this part transparent. But in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to invert all of that. So I'm changing that white to black, and that basically deletes that top plane right there. So if I rotate it around, again, we can see, selecting this rotate, you can see that it definitely is transparent. Actually just knocks a hole in it, which is great, okay? So check this out. Now we want to 3D print this. Selecting that scene, I want to print everything. This second option, 3D print settings, right in here. Notice how you can print to Shapeways. They will do the fulfillment for you. Sculptio in Europe. Again, Shapeways, they're going to basically make this coral red plastic for me if I want to. And not only that, if you're lucky enough to have a 3D printer, MakerBot, for instance, or any other type are supported depending on those manufacturers. This is the important part, just to make sure you have surface detail checked, especially opacity. So I click print. It will repair all those meshes, because remember, this is just a very thin wall. So that's when Photoshop goes in and determines that, you know what, based on this MakerBot replicator, we need to make these walls X amount thick. Okay, so depending on your printer or service provider, it will basically thicken these walls. That way I didn't have to with the mesh. And there it is. Here you can see it. In fact, the original mesh you can see is the green, and then the walls thickened is the blue part. So you can easily tell that Photoshop did go in and thicken up the walls. So this is going to print okay on my selected printer. From there, you can hit print if you selected Shapeways and upload that model to Shapeways, or hit export or print to a connected printer if you have one. So that's how you can easily punch holes in objects, and really you have all the flexibility of Photoshop, because you can even sort of make a design in here and it would be transparent as well.